A summer break is in full swing, and for many families, that means trying to keep kids active, engaged, and off their devices. That seems really daunting. But in between schedules, avoiding burnout and communicating, that can feel like a full-time job. Chantell Preston, a healthcare entrepreneur, mom, and advocate for raising confident, emotionally connected kids, is back in Studio B. She's going to share some realistic and simple ways that parents can really help their kids thrive this summer. And we're in the heat of summer. Kids are off. Some are in summer school, like your daughter. Yep. Chantell, tell us what we need to know.
Well, first of all, it's hard. No matter how you look at it, there's always a battle in my house about devices versus being outside versus doing educational things. So how do we really come up with a plan as a family that works for us? Right. And so I think that that's what, as parents, we really struggle with, is what is that plan? And if we don't have it, it just makes life very difficult in the next 3 months.
Now, I'm not a mom. I'm an auntie, proud auntie. But, I feel like we want our kids, the kids in our family, to be well-rounded. You know what I mean? We want them to know a little about this, be good at sports, do this. But, does the kid have a say in any of this at all?
It's funny, we think about summer, we forget summer's to recharge. These kids have so much pressure during the school year. It is about recharging, but we also don't want them to slip out of the routines because it's harder to get them back into it. So it's finding that balance between the two is how do we keep their minds active, their bodies active, creative, but yet also giving them that downtime that they really need.
Yeah, and you said, kids really do at the end of the day crave structure. Is that true? That's a fact.
Whether they agree or not, they do crave structure. And sometimes it's harder than it looks, but they do crave that structure. And it's important for us as parents to hold our ground and say, we're going to do certain things because it's important for you to not just lay in bed all day on your device, but get out and socially interact with other people.
And how do you do that? How do you enforce those boundaries and lay down those lines without one becoming public enemy number one, and also without overwhelming the kid? How do you do that?
Well, of course, it depends on their age, because when they're teenagers, it doesn't matter. You're still going to be the villain in the situation. But it's really about setting those standards and those structure early. Find the rules and let's talk about them up front versus when the meltdown starts. So then you're not the bad guy because everybody's on the same page as to exactly what the rules are.
Yeah, I love your perspective because you're not just talking the talk, you're walking the walk. You have a daughter in summer school right now. What have you seen? What have you seen when you enforce some of these rules that you're talking about?
Well, you just see that they still have that sense of purpose, that passion. My daughter's still dancing in the summertime, but keep in mind, I also have my twins that are 7 and they're not as old as she is. So it's harder for them to find things to do that they're passionate about. So this gives us an opportunity in the summers to try different things.
Okay.
And you say, do they have a choice? Absolutely. Because if you're forcing a kid to do something, they're not going to do it. So we sit down and talk about, give them a choice, give them a voice. What is something you're interested in? What are things that you're passionate about? Let's try them over the summer without any of the pressures of the grades and things that go along with it.
I like that. Finding what they like and then saying, okay, you're going to have, you like dance, for example. You own a dance studio, is that right?
I do.
Okay, so luckily, daughter likes to dance, and you can kind of get her involved in that way. And that really, dancing, sports team, that can really encourage life skills, right? For kids?
It does. If you look at the statistics structured activities really help kids with confidence, collaboration, teamwork. Again, all those things we're trying to teach these kids at school, let's continue that through the summer. And by having those structured activities, it gives them a sense of purpose. They're engaging with their peers. Again, they're forgetting about those devices at home because it forces them to do some of the things that we want them to do as parents, but yet they don't even realize they're doing it because they're enjoying it at the same time.
Okay, that's great advice. I also have to ask though, because some of these outside extracurricular activities, they can really be expensive, and not every parent has this budget to say, okay, what do you like? What are your dreams? And we'll just go do that. What advice do you have for parents who are living on a more strict budget?
Well, even if you have money, there's still a lot of things that you can do at home. We have fashion shows once a week at our house. It's
fun.
Great because it gives the girls their ability to be creative, use what they currently have, and come out and show the creativity and what they're passionate about. So you can do dance parties, you can do fashion shows, but let's keep in mind there's also the library. One of the things that I do with one of my daughters, she loves to read. We go to the library and we'll spend 30 minutes reading. I'll read at the same time she's reading. Why? Because I want to be a good example, showing it's not just me forcing you to do it, but we're doing it together. And then we talk about what we've read. So that's putting that educational aspect into it at the same time.
Yeah.
And so again, Look at the museums. Most of the museums have family days where they have free admission. So there's ways of finding things to do, not necessarily camps and things like that, but other things that you can do as a family. And there's a lot of great resources out there like HoustonMom.com as well as HoustonOnTheCheap.com. All of those provide opportunities for people to go in and see, where can I take my kids? What are they enjoying? And bring them into that conversation. Let's develop a plan together.
Yeah, I really like that. Maybe going to read, maybe even reading a similar or same book, or what's your book about? What's my book about? Because that can get you almost building a bond, like building a bond with your kid, not just, hey, how was your day? You good? You good? Like more of a conversation. Can a bond really, I mean, you can strengthen a bond over the summer, can't you? It's a great time.
Absolutely. I mean, one of my daughters, she reads to me. And so we can talk through, what are we learning? What are we doing? And it does help that bond. Kids need that quality time from us. You know, we talk about how do we build stronger bonds? Just show up, be there, be engaged, ask questions. We talked about, you said earlier about your devices. We're all so used to being on our devices, and kids know. I have one daughter, they'll tell me, Mommy, put my phone down. So I'm not the best at it either, I'll be the first to admit. So there's times that we need to go ahead and set our devices and be that role model and show them that we're willing to do it because they're important to us.
I really think out of everything that we've talked about, that is number one. Because even me, an adult, you know, on what's supposed to be a vacation, you know, there was no 5G internet where I was out in the sticks in Kentucky. And it really forced me to look outward, to grab my book, to grab something else. As an adult, you know, it's hard for me to be disciplined. So how do you set those, you know, standards for a kid when as an adult it's really hard to keep? Do you have any extra advice on that? Because I feel like screens are just inevitable.
It is, and they're not going away. And so if you've got to make a plan as a family as to what your family plan is. There's got to be certain times where it's device free. And again, it may not be every night. I know people say, oh, dinner. We never have dinner together except for maybe 1 or 2 nights a week because everybody's running different directions. So one night a week, family consistent dinners, everybody's devices are down. But also game night with the family. So find ways that you can connect. But a lot of parents, I just tell them, show up, ask questions.
Yeah.
And not the closed-ended questions. How was your day? Fine, because that's what they'll say. But tell me about your day. Tell me your favorite thing about the day. Work in those times when those kids are vulnerable, where they are willing to talk to you.
Yeah, and I mean, really switching the thinking too. Like, think of watching the sunset or the sunrise. You know, you can't do those things with a big phone in your face. And I just think it's such a great reminder for kids, because we're playing the comparison game on social media, and they are too. And I just think it's so important for kids to know that they are enough, and really the quality time with family, that's the good stuff, right?
That's
like
right.
not the screen time online.
That's right. And talk about things. You know, what do you see? What makes you happy online? What makes you sad? Why do you look at those things? Again, kids are fearful that we're going to take their screens away from them. And frankly, I just don't think that that's going to happen. So come up with a plan together as a family.
Yeah, to navigate it together, I think,
absolutely.
is the best way. Chantell Preston, I love it when you come to Studio B. Thank you for joining us on this Manic Monday. Okay, we're going to put all your tips and these conversation starters from Chantell, we're going to put those on our website at HoustonLife.tv. And in the meantime, you can connect with her by visiting the Scene on Houston Life section of our website. She's a great resource. She's a pretty good friend, too.